Okay, it looks like we are live according to everything. And the High Plains Drifter is in the chat along with Randall Ellison that just came in. So at least there's two people here. Let's see, go back to here. And this is Happy Valley Hobbies, and these are hobbies that make me happy. We are recording in Arlington, Vermont. Okay, got that. Because of life and all that, and confusion at work, I am still on normal cable. Basically, I had to reschedule getting the fiber put in, and so it's been pushed back until the 11th. So it'll be the 11/11/23. Working on weathering trucks and axles. Well, hello there, Curly Express. Thank you for coming in. That's one thing. That's another thing I need to sort of kind of work on is. This is not looking good. Well, apparently my hard drive's at 100%, so there's a possibility things are going to go icky. Yeah, it's one of those things I think I might need the computer itself is okay, but this hard drive is... I'm not quite sure why the hard drive is at 100%, but that's what causes things to go not too well at times. And a couple of weeks ago, it actually caused everything just to go. And so there might be the possibility tonight that, unfortunately, there's the possibility of, the stream just dying off. Sorry about that in advance if it does. It's one of those things I got to figure out how to get Firefox from using the hard drive a lot. There was a time about a month or so ago where all of a sudden Firefox did an update, and then all of a sudden I thought something was broken and all that because it was showing no hard drive activity at all. But every now and then it would, there would be a small blip and all that instead of the 100, running at 100% that it is now. But that's a computer problem, not an internet problem. So getting fiber optics is not going to turn around and change that. But this is more of, doing this live stream and all that is more, I guess, a hobby that makes me happy. But like every hobby, it can turn around and get frustrating at times, especially when the equipment doesn't want to cooperate. It looked like it looked for a second there that it was, going back down to 20%, but it looks like it popped back up to 99. Now it's going back down to 10. Well, it's basically, sort of like in what Babe Ruth did was basically he was famous for the most home runs, but he also struck out a lot because every time he would swing the bat, he would turn around and he was constantly trying to get a home run every single time. But that wound up, from my understanding, also turning around and also made him, pretty much not get on base a lot because he would strike out because he's trying to hit that ball all the way over. But when he connected correctly, it was fantastic. But usually he did not. And I was surprised to find out that specific thing with Babe Ruth. I did, it was. I forgot when I actually forgot when I actually learned about that he also struck out the most, because it's one of those things of they always are trying to portray the best in things. All right. Okay. It looks like Dwight from Curly Express has popped in. Thank you for coming in. I'm not looking at the chat. I'm looking at the test manager, which is suggesting that things might go awry like it did 2 weeks ago. But hopefully it does not. Possibly when after the fiber optics is put in, maybe there would be a change or two. One is the cleaning up the workbench, which I'm not very good at. It's very odd. At work, I try to be neat as possible, but at home, I don't know why. There's a possibility that some of my father's messiness is also in there because when he had a a shed and all that stuff, it was never in the best of setups. I remember one time turning around and because I went to Votech in New York State for electricity and electronics, and one of the first years they did is how to do basic electricity, and I had actually turned around and rewired the shed so when you wanted to go in, because he had plugs everywhere, so I turned around and actually wired up properly wired it up and all that. So all you had to do was flip one switch, and then you wouldn't have to constantly plug in one thing to plug in another to plug in another. It's like it was just all one thing. So all you had to do was flip a switch, and basically go from there. Everything became live, which probably also was not the best idea at the time. But when you're a high school student, But when I came back from college and all that, he basically ripped everything else and had it back to having all plugs again. And it's like, why did you do that? It's like I had it all, I had it so it was easy for you, but oh well. But it's one of those things of obviously parents and children have different ideas on how to do things. He just wanted to have everything on plugs. He did keep the original, I guess the original electricity coming in, that first initial switch and all that. But after that, after the plug, after the first outlet to that switch, he wound up for some reason going to plugs after that. But I probably did ask him, but I forgot what the answer was. And it's one of those things I just throw up my hands going like, all right, your workshop. But I try to have everything. Within, having it so you can just flip one switch and have everything set up that way. Unfortunately, because I rent, I'm not able to do that here. There would be a nice. This is a place that doesn't have built-in lighting. It's got a switched out. When you turn on the lights, there's a switched outlet. Well, correction. In the bedroom and the living room, there's no light. There's no built-in lighting. The kitchen and bathroom do have it. and the very, very small hallway does. But the main rooms, the largest rooms in here, do not. So I got 2 light strips that are connected behind here that are connected to the light switch so I can turn them on and off. And I have a regular lamp in my bedroom. But enough babbling. Let's see about switching over to cameras. Okay. Now, basically what the plan is for tonight is to add more add more cloth, and also to all right, get that there, get that there. Add more cloth, and also to figure out how to flatten this out. This is when I bought this, it was very curly. In fact, I wound up buying three things of this. I'm not quite sure what it's made of. It's by Chooch Enterprises. And this is what my plan is for the wall on this. But as you can see, it's curled. Now it says it's self-adhesive. I don't know how strong the adhesive is, so I don't know if putting the adhesive on there will keep it flat. But I also don't know what this is. Let's see, number of sharp blades, file peel and stick. It actually does not say what this is. So I'm assuming that this is something that is, I want to say it is sort of kind of rubbery-ish, but I do not know why it curls up. I am tempted to throw this under hot water and see what happens there. But as you can see, this is slightly over a foot long because it's only a foot. The diagram is a foot wide. So it's one of those things of trying to figure out where's a good spot to cut the ends and all that. But that's for something a little bit later. Right now, it's basically I'm aiming for adding more fabric on, or more, plaster cloth. So we'll remove the canal out of the way for now. Now, obviously, I don't really need to go too nuts over on this side because that's being covered by the canal. But I do want to sort of, aim, maybe have this a little bit more flatter out for that. So now that I actually have scissors, I can actually cut things properly instead of trying to improperly cut things. So, but I'm not quite sure if you can see it on this side. Do we have here? Yes. Can't really see within the shadows, but this is curved this way, so I want to see about having it more draped over this way, and possibly having a little bit more a little bit more, less angled, more 90 degrees. Let's throw that way. And let's see. Do that way. And that will give me a little bit more 90 degree end to this. Of course, I got to be careful not to wet this side yet until I get something a little bit more, something a little bit more stiffer there, because if I get this part wet, it'll want to, it will, gee, I'm hiccuping, I'm burping. I was like, gee. Don't want to get that wet, because as soon as I get that wet, that's going to want to fold back on itself. So we will add water from this direction. Try not to get it on. Get it on that way. Sort of blend that in. Oh, there, James. Thank you for coming in. Yeah, if I'm still on cable right now, because I had to change the schedule for my fiber optic installation. So that's going to be theoretically next Saturday. And now that, well, I would have to say my department at work doesn't have to work overtime. So as far as I know, I'm not working on Fridays. Yeah, it's one of those things that's subject to change, though, obviously. All right. Now let's say all right. Now the thing is that both sides of these are also slightly angled, but I don't think I really want to have them angled that way. So this will make this a little bit more solid. Oh, hello there, Grandpa Rails. Thank you for coming in. Adding more plaster cloth. All right, so for here, we'll end this here. Again, trying not to get that specifically wet. However, since this is angled, it'll have to be wet on this side. All right, trying to figure out how to make it 90 degrees on this side without support. Actually, let's go this way. Let's see if we can go this way. All right, make that all nice and straight up and down. And then fold it on this side. Well, it's not going to be perfect, but it is one of those things of learning on how to use the material that you're using. And also, I'm slowly learning that sometimes, trying to quote make it perfect and all that, you can get away with not making the base perfect. The base could be off, and then you hide all the inconsistencies and all that. So the base covering has a lot more tolerance than the upper coats. Okay, that looks straight now, or relatively straight. One thing I got to do is eventually find a way to water this down so it will harden, but at the same time try to make it so it doesn't change while getting wet and all that fun stuff. So I'm not quite sure how to do that, but my assumption is that maybe doing getting everything wet but then hanging it in a certain direction where it will not collapse because of gravity. All right, now we'll go on to this side. And I do believe John from Schuylkill Valley Railway is on Sidetrack Sunday tonight. I think he's still sort of like doing what I'm doing with dioramas. Because his railroad is not set up at this particular point in time. All right, let's go there. Let's see. Go close enough. And that's what I think a lot of professionals modelers have done is, they make everything all look nice and all that, but they probably started out, making things not look that great, but then eventually figuring out how to make it look great ahead of time. Skill I have not really acquired yet. All right, let's do that. Fold that around the corner, straight up. And then this will go down. Now, this does not need to be at 90 degrees, but I want to get close to it. All right. That looks close enough. Now we'll add water from the opposite direction. And one of the problems I'm running across to tonight is that my hard drive is up towards 100% instead of being down towards, I'd like it down towards 20 or something, or close to 20%, but it's a little bit higher. It seems that it wants to be around 90%, which is there is the possibility we'll make like a couple of weeks ago the live stream die off because it stops. It winds up it's using the hard drive so much that it stops communicating with the internet. And I'm hoping that doesn't happen that way tonight. But if it does, people who are here now or watching this on the replay have been forewarned. All right. Okay, so that got the way that is going to be. And now to start on this side. All right. Hopefully I can get this side in the camera frame. Yes, I can get it in the camera frame. It's unfortunately dark in this area. The lighting I have is... I do have good lighting, but the good lighting is not compatible with the cameras. You wind up with all the interference lines and all that. So the cameras that I have that work with the cameras, they're much smaller. The other lights are actually 4 foot long, so it actually lights up everything. But the cameras that the lights that do work with the cameras, they're only about, they're literally that big. They're sort of almost like desk lamps. Just haven't been in the mood to, not really in the mood to upgrade. All right, now this side is a little bit more straight up and down because it's where I wound up cutting the cardboard. This side has the quote natural edge of the pressed cardboard, so it is more that way. So we go this way. All right, let's shift it over a little bit this way. Now I'll go down a little bit on this, just to have a little bit more coverage with the cloth. Don't want to go too far down because then it gets covered up by the canal. There we go. Over there. Now I haven't found the other plaster cloth that I've had, but then again I was sort of leaning more towards trying to get a little bit ready for the fiber optic installation. It's one of those things I'm assuming that I'll probably find it while I'm moving stuff for the fiber optic installation. That a little bit there. Smooth that out a bit. And I think I might have to run a short bit to get more water because I'm definitely getting low on it. Because this hot, whatever the plaster uses is in just basically drinking the water up for its chemical reaction. That's why there's a lot of holes. And I might have to. Well, I haven't quite figured out exactly where I want the bridge. I am starting to lean towards maybe have the bridge towards the back of the front viewing area. So that might be the way to go. All right. I'm going to jump real quick and grab some water. Since this is a very small apartment, that should not take long. So, pardon me while I go grab some water. One thing I would have to say, I'm not quite sure how far that the microphone picks up, because usually I have a blue snowball, and from what I understand, the higher quality mics, they give you better recording stuff and all that, but they also do not have a tendency to not to go that far either. Plus, it probably is not that professional to be, talking way into the background. There we go. Now we got a lot more water involved. Now, one thing I don't know. Well, I know that I believe there's British canal boats available in OO scale, not HO scale, because Britain, I think, normally does the 00 scale. All right. But a lot of times in the a lot of the railroads in the east were also competing with canals. At first, the railroads were not as it basically comes down to reliability. And originally, trains, steam engines themselves were not reliable in the beginnings. That's why they were doing canal boats and railroads. And the same thing with the Industrial Revolution. I saw a thing where they were talking about why did they go to steam instead of keeping with water power, because water power is cheap. It's basically you're not paying for anything. Once the initial cost is taken care of, you don't have to worry about fuel or anything like that. And in my opinion, they got it slightly wrong, because they were saying that it winds up it's easier to do X, Y, and Z. And I'm going like, not quite. And in my opinion, the reason why they went with steam engines instead of water power was consistent reliability. Because with water, you have to rely on nature to, provide said water. So if you have a drought or something, or during the winter, or possibly, one of the things that they're talking about is during the winter time, things freeze up. Now, water was, that was an agrarian mindset. It's like, you were at the mercy of the weather. But with steam engines and all that, you're not as confined to water. You don't have to have your factory next to a stream. You could have it. You can have your factory anywhere. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, a lot more water to basically activate everything. And that's one of the things and it's always about figuring out how to control labor. It's like one of those things of, when you got a place where you have to rely on water, you wind up it winds up being to a place where you can only use just so much water. So you wind up with people have to go to where the mill is. But if you have a mill that's sort of transportable, then you can turn around and you can have it in the cities or next to other mills and all that. So when if a bunch of workers had turned around and said, "Hey, don't do this" and all that, and walk off the job, it's like there's no extra workers. But if they're in a city where there's multiple mills doing the same exact, well, not the same exact thing, but similar things and all that, workers can just go to another workplace. Or for the opposite setup is that they could turn around and hire people that are willing to work less and all that fun stuff. So it's a double-edged sword. Well, hello there, Mystic. And how are you this evening? Yeah, YouTube finally actually popped up a suggestion for you just before I got on. So I turned around and set it up where I can, opened up the tab and watch it later. But right now, adding more plaster cloth here to make it, sort of like the finalized shape of what I am looking for. Trying to figure out where I want. One of the things I am trying to figure out is where do I want the bridge. Originally, it was basically, it's going to be in the center and all that. But now I'm starting to think maybe have it either in the front or the back, depending on. I haven't decided which is the front. But having maybe the bridge in the back, and then here's the canal, and be able to show a little bit more of the canal, not necessarily having boats on the side of the canal, because I don't know. I honestly don't know if I'm assuming that they make canal boats for HO scale, but I don't know where to look for them. But yeah, actually the canal is actually a little bit too narrow, but I didn't want it to take up the entire valley, because I'm thinking about having like a small stream along here, maybe having a cut out a little thing here to serve for overflow, because that is the thing that the canals had. I'd probably have to poke around at some of the historical societies to find out exactly how canals were sort of put together. Because most of the stuff I got are train books, so it's like one of those things. I don't have anything with canals. But since I am doing an area that did have some connection with canals, it only makes sense to turn around and make a diorama that has a canal in it. Now, if I remember correctly, specifically the Susquehanna and Albany, which was 6-foot gauge at the time, I don't think they actually, as far as I know, I haven't seen any pictures of them crossing any canals. I know when they got to Albany, there was the beginning of the Erie Canal, but I don't think the tracks went that far. I think they wound up going into the southern port of Albany, but then the Erie Canal's north of Albany, so they might not actually. This situation would never come on with the Erie Canal, but possibly with the Delaware and Hudson Canal. But it's one of those things. I haven't seen any pictures of a canal, a broad gauge railway over a canal, but I'm assuming that there were some. Probably wasn't the Delaware and Hudson, since they had their own narrow gauge line. But I would assume that the Erie, the Lackawanna, or insert other 6-foot gauge railway might have crossed a canal. All right. Faller has a canal boat that's like a barge. Well, that's good to know. You wouldn't have to. Now, here's the I guess the $100 question is, how wide is it? Because this quote canal isn't wide enough. It is 30. We'll say 32 scale feet wide. And from what I understand, the Erie Canal, when it was widened, it was up to 40. So it's about 7 feet too narrow. And the thing is, with no barge, with no canal, with no barges on there, you can sort of get away with, well, it's wide enough. But once you put a boat in there, it's like, hey, that boat's over half the width. It'll obviously be not big enough. But I mean, that's just my thought on it. I did try to make it wide enough so a couple of horses could at least pass each other. Now, if I can get the said horses to stand up. But yeah, I can have. From what I've seen, they normally there's like a walk path sort of down the middle, and then with grass on each side. But it was the sides were wide enough for two horses to easily pass each other. Usually with a person. Here's Rick the Tree with Tree, as sort of one would be going one way, one would be going the other. That would have. That would have made an interesting scene if having two boats pass each other. Because what they would do is that usually the boats that's on the opposite side of the path, they would basically stop pulling, and they would stop, on this side, and then the rope that was connecting the horse or horse donkey, insert animal, the rope would turn around and then sink. And then the other boat where the rope is still taut would basically go over, they would arrange it so they would, basically this side would go under the rope of the other. I don't think I've ever seen pictures of it being done that way. But the thing is that it does require movement. This is sort of a canal that's sort of outside the cities and all that, because cities would actually have towpaths on both sides. Another one would be they would have a towpath on one side, then you would have a bridge that would go over, and then the towpath would start continue on the other side. Trying to think, and there was a way, the way they set up the footbridge to go across and all that is that where they wouldn't have to untie the animal, because the ramps would be both going up and then across, and then what would happen is that somebody would go up the hill, go up that way, and then go back down, and then go under the bridge, and that's how they would be able to. And of course, reversing would be they would go all the way up here, go up the ramp, go across, and then come down, and then continue on that way. So that's why if you see one of those types of footbridges, they're usually having the foot ramps on one side only. Oh, okay, that makes sense. But as I said, it's like this is a little bit too narrow, so I might just leave it that way. But yeah, that's where I might wind up leaving it that way. And then this side would obviously would have the bridge, but on this side, I'm gonna see about doing just a plain trestle, because the bridge itself it's a little over 40 foot. So yeah, this is actually the actual width of a later, from what I understand, a later width. Yeah, a later width canal would be this width. So it'd be from here to there, basically spread out farther. But as you can see, that almost takes up the entire valley. I wasn't aiming for that. But yeah, it looks like I'm going to be able to have like a small abutment over here, and then starting a trestle, maybe only 2 bents trestle, having 1 bent here and then having this as the other abutment, and then having a small stream that would be going down through there. That's why I'm starting to think maybe having it towards the back of the front. But I haven't figured out exactly which front that I want now. I don't know. I'm starting to think that this would look as a nice front. But that's just me at this point. But let's see. Well, it looks like it's getting towards that time. Let's see what John is up to. But yeah, right now this one thing I am trying to figure out is this is Choosh Enterprises. Let's see. Medium random stone wall. Planning on using it on this side. Sort of kind of makes sense that way. Also starting to think of could I make an abutment out of this? Because I got three of these, so I got plenty of them. I might do that. But one thing, the problem I'm having with it is that I'm not sure what this is, but as you can see, it has started a curl. This is I think it's been on the peg for a while. This was basically what had happened is that this was in a hobby shop that I used to frequent, but unfortunately the owner passed away. Somebody else bought it, and they have actually now they're actually they actually moved into a place that's actually closer, so they're not an hour away. On the other side of Troy, New York. I can actually, they're in Brunswick, New York, so they're closer to Vermont. So instead of having an hour and 10-minute drive, it's now down to maybe 50. Okay, Mystic. Thank you for coming in. We find a boat on Thinkiverse. Dwight can saying it. Okay. All right, that might be a possibility. I would have to say if I decide to go with a canal boat or something like that, that will be probably very late in the game. That's what my current thought process is. If I decide to go that route, but it's nice to have that. Nice to know there's an option. So thank you. All right. Let's start shutting this down. Camera wobbles all over the place. That's one thing one thing I'm gonna sort of kind of like with the new setup is that maybe I'll find a better way to mount that the workbench camera, and that's what my plan. That's what my thought is. Because I got to move a lot of stuff around to get the fiber optics in. One is to take down this, uh, which the camera is half supported by. That's why when I move this, that's why the camera moves, because I'm moving this up and down. Uh, so yeah, it's gonna be interesting. And it's one of those things of now I have to do things to probably should have moved and went through before and all that, but I'll admit it, I'm lazy. Oh, Randall left. Oh, gotcha. But all right, it's nice. As I said, it's nice to know that there's options. I know Rand. I'm not sure exactly. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, yeah. Randall didn't mention exactly why he's leaving, but he just said, "Okay, take care, Earl." Which because of his work, there's times that he just disappears because that's how his work works. Or if he's at home, his adorable daughter, it's like has to have attention and all that fun stuff. So, but it looks like it's starting to become close to. Let's see, it's a little. I guess it's a little early to wrap this up, but I mean, my entire thought of going to 6:45 is to basically if you want to be able to do something like grab something to eat, grab something to drink, or need to use the restroom and all that, you can do that before getting onto uh, until you get onto Sidetrack Sunday. No problem, Mystic. Um, it's one of those things of I'm sort of doing this more for I'm starting to think that because during the pandemic, I started this during the pandemic, so it's one of the things of getting to meet people without touching people. But thank you, as I try to be entertaining. I must be, because everyone keeps on coming back week after week. Um, so, oh, that's it was like I'm looking at the test manager, and all of a sudden it went from 90, 90, 90, whew, down to like 5%, and I'm like, cool. And then all of a sudden it goes back up again. I'm like, but it's one of those things of just got to keep on plugging along and have something to keep you going. And I really appreciate you, everyone's that come here every week. I really appreciate it. But I guess it's time to clean up and get all the stuff off my hands and grab dinner before John at Schuylkill Valley Railway is probably going to continue something to what I'm doing. All right. Well, as for my outro, I believe that the world needs more love. So find your passion, add some silliness to it, and spread it around. Good night.